Rachel found the camera on day 3, but that's not the part that still keeps her up at night. The part that keeps her up at night is this. She saw it on day 1. She looked directly at it, and her brain, her smart, careful, suspicious brain, told her it was nothing. This is a story about a hidden camera in an Airbnb, but it's really a story about something much more unsettling. The moment you realize your own mind has been protecting the wrong person. Stay with me, because by the end of this you're going to understand exactly why she didn't see it, and why you probably wouldn't have either. March 2023, Austin, Texas. Rachel was 31 and she was running. Not from anyone, from everything. A breakup that had dragged on for 2 years longer than it should have. A job she could do from anywhere, which suddenly felt like permission to be anywhere but home. She booked 10 days in Austin because a friend once told her the tacos alone were worth the flight. The listing looked perfect. A converted garage apartment in a quiet neighborhood east of downtown. Exposed brick. Good light. 412 reviews, 4.9 stars. The host's name was Greg. His profile photo showed a man in his 50s holding a golden retriever. Superhost badge. My guests are family, his bio said. She landed on a Tuesday. Greg met her in person, which was already slightly unusual. Most hosts these days just send a door code, but Greg wanted to show her around, where the coffee was, how the shower handle worked. He was friendly, warm even. He lingered maybe 30 seconds too long. She noticed that. And then she unnoticed it the way we all do. He's just being nice, she told herself. Texas hospitality. Before he left, he pointed at the ceiling. Smoke detector's a little sensitive, he said. Don't burn your toast. And he laughed. She laughed too. She looked right at it. White plastic disc, center of the bedroom ceiling. And here's the detail her brain filed away and refused to process. It wasn't centered on the ceiling. It was mounted in the corner, angled, pointed, although she wouldn't use this word for another 3 days, pointed at the bed. Smoke rises everywhere. A smoke detector doesn't need an angle. A camera does. Day 2 started fine. Tacos, as promised, were worth the flight. She came back to the apartment around 6 in the evening, and something was off. Not dramatically off, not movie off. Off the way, a picture frame is off when it's tilted 2 degrees, the USB charger. She'd left her charger plugged in by the kitchen counter that morning. She was sure of it, she'd almost taken it, then decided her phone would survive the day. Now, there was a charger by the bed, a different one. Black, boxy, with a wide face and a single port. She stood there holding it, doing the math. Did I move this? Did I bring 2? She genuinely couldn't remember, and that not remembering felt like her fault. That's important. Hold on to that feeling, because it's the engine of this entire story. When something is wrong in a place we chose, we don't suspect the place. We suspect ourselves. Around 8, there was a knock. Greg, big smile. Hey, sorry to bother you. Just need to check the water heater, we've had a pressure thing. He was inside before she'd fully said yes. 2 minutes in the utility closet. On his way out, his eyes did a slow sweep of the room. The bed. The desk where her laptop sat open. The bathroom door. Everything comfortable? He asked. Everything's great, she said. She locked the door behind him and stood in the middle of the apartment. And for the first time, she let herself think a full sentence. Something is wrong here, and then, this is the part that matters, she immediately argued herself out of it. 400 reviews. Superhost, the dog in the photo. You're being paranoid, you're stressed from the breakup. You always do this. She made tea, she went to bed, under the smoke detector. Let's pause the story, because this is where it stops being about Rachel and starts being about you. There's a system in your brain, Psychologists sometimes describe it as your threat detection network, running through a structure called the amygdala. And it works faster than your conscious mind. Much faster. It clocked the angled smoke detector on day 1. It clocked the charger. It clocked the 30 extra seconds Greg lingered. Every one of those observations was logged, time-stamped, and flagged. So, why didn't Rachel act on any of it? Because a second system overrode it. Researchers who study trust have a phrase for our default setting: the truth bias. Human beings are wired to assume the people in front of us are exactly who they say they are, because for most of human history that assumption was cheap and usually correct. Add to that 400 5-star reviews, what psychologists call social proof, and the platform's polished interface whispering everything is verified, everything is safe, and you get a strange result. The more trustworthy the environment looks, the harder your brain works to dismiss its own alarms. Rachel wasn't failing to notice. She was noticing, and then paying a tax on every suspicion. Each red flag cost her something to believe. If this is true, I have to confront him. I have to leave. I have to admit my perfect trip is ruined. I have to become the paranoid woman making a scene. Her mind quietly decided the flags were more expensive than the risk. Remember this the next time your gut says something and your logic immediately files a rebuttal. Ask yourself one question. Is my logic actually disproving the alarm, or just calculating how inconvenient it would be if the alarm were right? Day 3. Rachel woke up at 4 a.m. for no reason. You know that kind of waking. Sudden, total, like a switch flipped. The apartment was dark except for one thing: a pinprick of red light. On the ceiling, inside the smoke detector. Smoke detectors do have indicator lights. She knew that. And her brain offered it up instantly. One more rebuttal, right on schedule. But she was done accepting rebuttals. She turned on her phone flashlight, dragged the desk chair under the corner of the ceiling, and climbed up, heart going like a fist on a door. The casing twisted off easier than it should have. Quarter turn, it practically fell into her hand. And there it was, not wires, not a sensor, a lens, small, black, round, unmistakable, set behind a pinhole in the plastic, with a micro SD card slotted beside it, and a thin cable running up into the ceiling. Pointed exactly where she'd known, where some deep ignored part of her had known since Tuesday, it would be pointed. At the bed. She didn't scream. That surprised her later. What she felt first wasn't even fear. It was a horrible, high-speed rewind. Every moment of the last 3 days replaying with a red circle drawn on it. Getting dressed, sleeping, crying on the phone with her sister Wednesday night. Greg's smile. Everything comfortable? Everything comfortable. He'd asked her that while knowing, while having already watched. Her hands were shaking so badly it took 3 tries to open her phone camera and photograph the lens, the SD card, the serial number on the board. And that's when the phone lit up in her hands. A message. Airbnb app from Greg. 7:51 a.m. Hey Rachel, random question. Is the smoke detector in the bedroom beeping? Getting a weird signal from it. I can swing by in 10 minutes. Getting a weird signal from it. The camera didn't just record, it streamed. He was watching her right now. Think about where she's standing, on a chair, in the corner of a garage apartment behind his house, holding his camera in her hand. And he knows. He knew the second the casing came off. 10 minutes. She has 10 minutes, one door, and a decision that, according to everything we know about how people behave in this exact moment, most of us get wrong. What Rachel did next, what the police found when they finally opened that ceiling, and the reason Greg had 400 5-star reviews, including from guests he'd recorded, that's part 2. If your gut has ever told you something a place or a person felt wrong, and you talked yourself out of it, tell me in the comments where it happened. You'll see you're not alone. Subscribe so you don't miss part 2. It's darker than you think.